Hey everyone, welcome. Here we are, last week of class. You've almost made it. I'm so proud of this group. You guys have been a great group. I loved looking during week 6 at your portraits and just seeing the difference from week 1 to week 6. So many of you should be so pleased. All of you should be pleased. I was very pleased with them. So this week I've lightened the load again a little bit. I took out the sketch assignment. So that should, help you to be able to have some time to focus on your portfolio assignment, which is your Scripture Comes to Life assignment. So before I dive into that, just remember that I will have all your week 7 work done by Friday. So be looking for that. I'm excited to see your cartoons. That's always a really fun week for me. And I hope that you enjoyed making those. So again, no sketchbook this week. You just have your capstone and then a portfolio critique. That's what we got going on. So when you come to your create assignment, there's going to be a rubric here for you to look through. My screen is being silly, but you'll be able to read through that and see exactly what it is I'm going to be grading you on through this assignment. And then if you go ahead and download this PDF, this is what we're doing. So there's 3 parts to this project, actually 4 parts total because you have a small written portion as well. And what I want you to do is select a biblical scripture that has personal significance for you, and then you're going to do the following 4 tasks. So for this example, I've used the scripture Psalms 26:8. Oh Lord, I love the habitation of your house and the place where your glory dwells. So the first part is going to be an illustrated text. So you're going to select one keyword from your chosen scripture to illustrate. So think of this as creating your own font, right? Use the tools learning class from other artists, line styles and weights, especially the play of lights and shadows will be important here. Contouring, negative space to represent the story and emotional impact of the entire chosen scripture. So you're going to do this on an 11 by 14 inch sheet of drawing paper. You're going to make do a 2-inch board, a 1-inch border around that to just set up your page to make it nice and neat. You have carte blanche for drawing materials in this assignment, so use whatever you felt you've really connected with throughout the last 8 weeks, or challenge yourself and use something new. This portion of the project is really about assessing your ability to accurately render fine and expressive lines, how to organize space, and create details by combining individual elements, which would be letters, into one cohesive drawing. So I've pulled an example from a student that I had, and this was an A project. So just to give you an idea of some of the things that I'm looking for, and I don't remember what scripture that she used. But so this is an example of an illustrated text. So she picked the word rooted from the scripture, and you can see how she really took that word to heart, and it's rooted into the earth. So you might do something such as this, but this is kind of the amount of detail that I'm looking for. See how it takes up most of the page? So this is what I want to see in that. The next part is going to be an original symbol. So you're still working with the same scripture. So symbolism, major element that we see in art, right? And just in life in general. Think about all the symbols you see on a daily basis that you know how to interpret. You understand what these symbols mean. Everything from a stop sign to an exclamation point on your keyboard, right? You understand what these objects are symbolic of. So use the theme and story of your chosen scripture to design an original symbol. Almost think of this as a logo for that scripture. Remember that logos are often simple. This is not a whole story in one picture. This is just one object that's simplified somewhat to represent the essence of the words that are being communicated. So the symbol or logo may not contain any text elements, any letters or numbers. I want this to be thinking a little more abstractly. So consider combining representative shapes like a tree, a heart, an animal, something, that's expressive imagery and that, you're putting together to communicate the meaning of this verse. Your drawing will contain 3 small variations of your symbol. So what I want you to do is set your page up like this. So you'll basically have 3 mock-ups, so maybe 3 different versions that you've kind of played around with, and then your final completed version here. So these might be a little bit more simple. This is just kind of ideas here, and this is the final version. So you can see here, again, what this student did here is she took these 3 variations and she kind of put them all together in one. So she had this idea of a book that's open, flowers kind of coming out of the book, and then she had this scene of it by an open window or it rooted into the earth, and she kind of combined them all to make this one image, right? This is probably a little more detailed than you need to go. She probably could have simplified this a bit more, but she's got, the book with the flower coming out of it. So she's kind of combined a few elements to make up one object that she feels represents the message she wanted to communicate here. So that's what I'm looking at for this one. So again, this will tell you how to set up your paper if you have any questions about that. I'm not as concerned about this. The reason I have you do that is just for, continuity. And because I want you to make sure that you're taking up a lot of space in your drawing. I don't want some tiny little image. I want you to really, get some scale in there. Okay, the last part is actually pulling from your workbook. It's from exercise 39. And it's called the Da Vinci device, the imaginative drawing. So that's what we're going to be doing. And Da Vinci really encouraged his students to study kind of very organic, kind of chaotic, random objects like stains on old walls, for example, because the idea was to spark the imagination, that you might see other images. It's kind of like looking at the clouds as you're a kid, looking up and seeing a bunny in the cloud. If you're using your imagination to take dissonant objects and kind of imaginatively create something new from them. So go ahead and follow the instructions in that assignment. But we want to take this just one step further, and I want you to make sure that you somehow incorporate or relate your drawing that you do from exercise 39 to the thematic elements of the scripture that you've chosen. So you may want to do a few practice runs because you're going to be using liquid mediums in this activity. So you're going to be using, coffee, tea, or like diet cola because it's not as sticky. Basically, you're going to be kind of pouring these materials, letting it kind of dry in whatever organic shape it does, and then creating some kind of image out of it. So again, you may want to practice a few times. Don't put this one off till the last second because it may take a little more time to just, this is really about opening up that right brain and kind of seeing something new. And so I'll give you an example in what this student did here. And so this was hers. So you can see that she kind of spilled this in a pattern, and from that pattern, she saw this object in it. And again, oh yes, so she's got, the bags of grain, and she's kind of going back to that idea of rooted, of things growing in the earth. So it was really kind of clever. So this is what she came up with. So just an idea to kind of get your juices flowing, no pun intended there. So that's what we got going on. Those are the drawing portions of this assignment, of your capstone assignment. So remember, everything needs to relate back to that one scripture that you select, and then you have a brief written reflection. So this is a 2 to 3 page response about your 3 drawings. Your paper should include the full scripture chosen directly underneath the paper title in either quotes or italics. So just like you would, quote something when you're doing a paper for any other class, be sure to give a full citation of the scripture. The Bible, after all, is a text. So it's just like any other book you might quote. And this is what I want you to really be looking at in this paper. So number 1, frame the scripture. What is the story surrounding your chosen verse? What is the chapter or book about? Is this the story of creation? Is it Daniel and the lion's den? Give some context for your reader. Number 2, I want you to talk about your personal connection. Why did you choose this specific scripture? How does it have personal significance in your life? And number 3, describe the process of making these 3 drawings. So this is kind of the real important part here. So don't spend too much time on these and then skim over this one. These are kind of to set up this one, this third objective here. So which of the 3 drawings is your favorite? Why? How did you problem solve here? Did you use any outside inspiration, other objects, other artists, for example? We've looked at a lot of artists this session. So why or why not? So please format according to MLA or APA style guides. I don't care which one you use as long as you use them. Just use one consistently. This portion of the assignment assesses your ability to discuss your work and think critically about its creation and influence. So if you have any questions about the capstone project, please don't hesitate to ask me. And going back into our learning activities here, after the rubric, again, make sure you look at that. You're going to be doing a portfolio critique. So this is a brief critique, 3 to 4 sentences for each bullet point of your work for each of your 3 favorite assignments from the class. Only one can be a drawing that we already used in a past group critique, excuse me. I've got allergies and it's itching my nose so bad and it's messing up my words here. So this may be your final project or any other assignment you enjoyed or think is your best work. So be sure that you embed these 3 images into your blog post. I know that a couple of you are still having trouble with that. I know that JPEGs tend to work the best. Some of you have been trying to do PDF files, and those don't always work so well when you're embedding. So make sure they're image files. Again, .jpeg files are the best. And consider the following here. So how do you believe your drawing skills have improved over the last 8 weeks? How do each of these drawings illustrate your new skills? What would you improve from these? What was the hardest part of the class for you? And what is the #1 skill you will take with you from this class? And then, find one of your peers' works to comment on, as always here. What was their greatest strength that you can see? What do you like about their project? And is there something that they could improve upon? Cleanliness, line quality, material choices, etc. Be positive, constructive as always in your feedback. You don't need to submit any attachments. If you're just, cannot for the life of you figure out how to embed, then go ahead and submit something as an attachment. That's better than not at all. But again, let me know if you're having trouble with that. So that's all you got this week. You got your capstone project and you've got your final critique. Remember that these are due not on Sunday night, but by Friday night. And I will actually make sure that that's updated in these assignments. These are due Friday night at midnight. And the reason for that is it gives me Saturday and Sunday to get your work graded, because Monday I have to submit your final grades. So that's what we got going on. You guys have been a fantastic group. I've really appreciated having you. Last thing before I forget, and I'm going to add this in here, I'm going to give 5 points extra credit for doing your course evaluation. So those are really important to us. We do read them. We do apply feedback. So please make sure that you get that done. And if you do get it done, I'll have a space for you to just submit a screenshot of the completion page, and that way you can get some extra credit for that. Okay, thanks again, everyone, and have a great summer.